Bluesound has been around for a bit less time than some of the other people celebrating their anniversaries, but 10 years of making streamers is no small undertaking. More impressively, as best as I know, I'm sure that someone will leap into the comments if I've got this wrong. I'm pretty sure that every single Bluesound product ever made, so long as it physically is in working condition, will still join a BlueOS network of products and still talk and play nice with all of the new things. Now, that's a much more meaningful achievement. To be in business for 10 years is one thing. To keep everything supported in what is a relatively fast-moving, by hi-fi standards anyway, a relatively fast-moving category, that's a much bigger deal. So the Node X, the X marking the spot, meaning 10 in this instance. It's basically the same layout as the standard node, which we've also reviewed sometime in the past. But visually, it's silver, which you may or may not like. There were some people not impressed by that at all in the comments, but other people were more positive, and I have to say, I think it looks quite smart. They have then, on a more meaningful level, done two things. The first is they've changed the DAC. It's gone from Burr Brown to an ESS unit. It's an altogether nicer DAC. It's more in keeping with what NAD use on their Bluesound digital devices. And this is a useful step forward. They've, without really changing the way of how it sounds, it is meaningfully better. A bit more detail. The measurements on the ESS DACs are extremely good, and so long as they've been implemented with any degree of sort of talent, they can be made to sound extremely effective. The other fitment is more interesting, and it had much more of an effect than I thought it was going to. If you look at a standard node, you'll see that that's got a 3.5mm headphone socket on the front. This has a full fat 6.35mm socket, and behind it is a THX triple A. Now, in the same way that Ian has issues with Audiophysic and Psychic, I keep wanting to call this an aromatic amplifier, but it's achromatic amplifier. We've tested something certified with this before, but that was a little standalone dongle. This is the first time I've seen one fitted in a product. It makes a massive difference to how this product sounds as a headphone amp, in so much as I would genuinely recommend using it as a headphone amp. It's a significant step forward. It did really, really impressive things running with a pair of Focal Clear MGs, which is twice the price of the Node. I was really, really taken aback by just how much of a step forward it is. Now, the Node X, before I go any further, this is only going to be available until the end of 2023. It's a limited run product. There's no real limits within that. They'll try and keep churning them out to the end. But after 2023, it's just the standard Node only. I really, really hope if anyone from Bluesound or NAD or Lembrook is listening to this, I genuinely want to see more of this headphone amp being used in other products. It is extremely impressive. And if they've gone to the effort of engineering it and getting it fitted, I would really, really like to see more of it. There's a photo of my cat in the background of that photo. She spent the entire time this product was on review hiding behind it for reasons I've not fully understood. There is otherwise the performance is a step forward. What's interesting is obviously in the not too distant past I reviewed the Eversolo DMP A6, which is £50 more than the Node 10 Node X. I won't beat around the bush. The Eversolo is the better product. It does more. It has better connectivity. It's a more impressive piece of construction. It has a full color display. The thing is, in the many, many, many comments on the Eversolo thread, there were people who were concerned that an Android platform product, they were concerned about its longevity and how long it's going to be supported for, and whether Eversolo/Zidu can be relied upon to do that sort of thing. It's not for me to say whether they will or won't, but if you have concerns of that nature, a company celebrating its 10th anniversary who's still kept everything they've made running, that's going to put your mind at rest. And the Node X keeps the Eversolo honest. It's a really lovely piece of software as well, BlueOS. It's fully Roon compatible as well, if you want to use that instead. This is a really, really capable streamer. And if you are shopping for one before the end of the year, I'd give it a listen. It's genuinely impressive. If you're using them both of them over RCA, the gap narrows a bit. The Eversolo's got XLR as well, which will be useful for some people. So no, give it a listen. I was genuinely impressed by it. It got a Best Buy. If you've got any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But it's a really, I have to say, I think it's one of the less cynical anniversary products that have gone through, because it's still sensibly priced. It does some different things to the usual one, and I think it looks forwards rather than just sort of sits there celebrating and resting on its laurels. So I was. Sorry,
who's the consumer for this? Who's the person that this is going to suit the most? Yeah.
If you are in a position where you are fed up with perhaps indifferent streaming and streaming service support built in on your AV receiver, this is an absolute must look at, because BlueOS is unconditionally stable. It supports everything bar Apple Music, and it does it in a really slick and cohesive way. If you're then looking at adding more Bluesound products to your house, BlueOS supports up to 42 products on a network. And you've got to have, well, basically you're running a bed and breakfast by the time that's an issue, isn't it? So that it's able to do multi-room and just basic non-irritating stability in a way that, you know, a lot of the inbuilt UPnP processes on AV receivers simply can't match. If you are one of the unusual set of people buying a stereo amplifier with no digital inputs and so on and so forth, this is also a very useful thing to look at. It has one other feature for stereo amp users, less so much AV receiver users, that may come in handy. Unlike the Eversolo, the Bluesound has HDMI ARC. Now, it's not as perfect an implementation of HDMI ARC as a one-box device, because whilst you can adjust the volume of it using your TV, it's never going to raise up past the level that the amplifier to which it's connected to is set to. So essentially, you can only lower the volume. But nevertheless, it will turn on, select the correct input if your TV is connected to it. So if you are using a stereo amp with no digital inputs, it will connect up quite effectively and give you an extra sort of layer of TV integration as well. It's also, obviously, there is the proviso that when I say something is idiot proof, someone goes and builds a better idiot. But you have to go some to fail to set this up correctly and to have it fall off networks and things like that. It's unconditionally stable. So It's streaming without any of the faff, and it's just everything that Bluesound is good at celebrated in one silvery box.